What is going on, everybody? Boilon here, and welcome back to another video on Lord of the Rings Home. Now, full disclosure, this video might contain a little bit of salt. This might be a little bit negative. You know, I don't think I've put out a single negative video actually on the Lord of the Rings channel since I started doing this, but there's a few things that I want to discuss and talk about. And, you know, for those of you who haven't been following me for too long, I am a content creator on Marvel Strike Force. And for Lord of the Rings, for me, it's a bit of a getaway. You know, it's me getting away from the craziness that is in Marvel Strike Force right now, where the game is slowly going down the tube, in my opinion. And I am hoping am hoping still that Lord of the Rings will provide me with some fun that I'm not finding in Marvel Strike Force. However, I feel that, you know, just as an outset to this video, that I feel that Lord of the Rings was prematurely released. I do feel that, you know, this was probably a month or two early, and I feel that the current iteration that we're playing right now in global launch is in fact beta 2.0. And the reason why I'm saying that is because there's a lot of lack of nothing to do. That's just putting it mildly. Once you get to the point where I'm at, and you know, probably by about like level 40, 35 to 40, you know, you're manually playing a lot less just because, you know, there's more things in the way of you clearing more campaign nodes and whatnot. The only thing that you're actually logging in to do, for the most part, aside from clicking, is Arena. It's the only thing that exists in Lord of the Rings at this time that is active gameplay that is playable, for the most part. Again, once you've done the campaigns and kind of hit that wall where you're not really doing additionally much, you know, until you're able to overcome said wall with your gear tier and the bottlenecks and whatnot. So I'm trying to get, sometimes I forget, but I try to get in most of my 5 arena attacks a day. Sometimes I get 3 or 4, depending on how busy I am. And I'm finding myself that I want to play more. Like, I want more to do in Lord of the Rings. And that comes to no surprise. Like, people who want to play games want to play a little bit more, usually. Like, so, this is weird, because in Marvel Strike Force, it's the complete opposite problem. We have a problem where there's too much things to do, and the screen time, is far too high in Marvel Strike Force. You know, if I wanted to actually manually play and do everything, it would probably take me about 2 hours. And that's not even a joke. Depending on what day of the week, because there's different game modes that run on different days of the week. But nonetheless, you know, it's a lot. And I don't want that kind of level right now, but I do want a little bit more. I want and it doesn't make Lord of the Rings very good for something like Twitch. So for anyone who's like Twitch streaming or streaming Lord of the Rings at all, there's like nothing to stream. There's no content to show off on a regular basis. And, you know, I don't want to do a 10 to 15 minute bullshit video for you guys about something completely random, right? Like, because it just doesn't, there's just not a lot to talk about right now, unfortunately. We had the Arwen event. This came and gone. Sorry, it's still here. It didn't come and gone. It's still here. Came out on Thursday morning. And it was fine. Right, like I got my 3-star unlock, and that was fine. You know, I did the first 4 levels, and all the players above level 30 will be able to do the same thing and walk away with a 3-star Arwen, and that's completely fine. That's completely okay. You know, and I like that it was low effort, but there was just nothing else to really go alongside it. Now, I did tier 5, and this got me some additional rewards, and this required me to have done the other 4, and I leveled Arwen up to like level 30, gear tier 3 with some ability upgrades, and I was able to clear this because they're giving you the stuff. Now, the next level I can only do if I'm 5-star Arwen, which is fine. The additional rewards is great. But, you know, there's just nothing else for me to do. You know, so all of this just took like less than 30 minutes for me to do all of that, and I'm done. And there's still and it goes back to the same problem that there's really a lack of stuff to do in the game. You know, it takes me maybe all of less than 10 minutes, probably like 5 minutes to go around in the morning and do all my clicking, right? You know, I spend my energy, I spend my gold, go in the supply store, I check what's in there, I buy what I want, and I spend my guild energy. But I feel like the game would have been a much better place, would have been in a much better place if it launched with Mines of Moria. Now, just to give you guys a recap, you know, for those of you who haven't played Marvel Strike Force, and I can't speak from the Capital Games Star Wars Galaxy Heroes what they came out with at launch, but keep in mind Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes launched in 2015, right? So that was a different time period. That was 8 years ago. They've had time to learn a lot since then. I'm not saying it's the exact same studio that runs that. I don't even know what's going on in terms of like who's where, but it doesn't matter because we're in 2023, and in terms of our expectations for a launched game, should be a product that, you know, at least contains enough activity for us to spend, I mean, honestly, like 45 minutes a day should be more than reasonable, and I don't do that. You know, I probably spend 30 if I'm lucky. Probably not even that. Depends on how many arena attacks I do, right? You know, most of my clicking is done within like 5 minutes. Maybe I do that twice a day, and that's about it. Maybe not even. So the raids is what I'm expecting to be that, but that's all the more reason why it should be here now, why it should have been here at release, at global launch, and this game should not have come out basically until that point. Not to mention the myriad of bugs that weren't fixed between beta and the territory, soft territory launch, or whatever you want to call that. The 2 weeks prior to global launch, there was tons of bugs, including the goblin bug, where if you killed a goblin in the campaign, it like automatically killed, or some of you probably know what I'm talking about, that you ran into that and took advantage of. Like myself, I took advantage of that as well in certain challenges and campaign levels, and they did fix that. But these are things that I'm talking about that should have been fixed going into global launch. And raids is something that we should have had, because that would have most likely, I don't know 100% the details of the raids, but I'm just going out on a limb and assuming that that is what would have been there to give us the screen time that I'm talking about and the screen time other people wanted. Now, I'm not doing this video because there's been a couple of content creators from Marvel Strike Force who tried out the game who didn't really enjoy it that much. And largely there was a couple of citations of why, you know, lack of things to do, content-wise, and the graphics and things like that. And honestly, the graphic parts doesn't super bother me. I've played worse-looking games. But what does bother me is the lack of things to do in the game. So I don't know how much screen time raids are going to add on a daily basis to this game, but it's got to be more than what we're currently doing right now. And that's part of the problem that I'm having, is that, you know, my daily ritual, you know, like I said, I spend my energy, I log in, I check the store. Have I done that so far today? I guess I did. You know, I check this usually around the free energy timers. This normally when I log in to check the stores again, because the store timers are a little bit wonky right now. And I do this, and if I, you know, because I'm saving, and maybe that's my bad, because I'm saving for elves for when they come out so that I can upgrade them. So I'm not doing a lot of campaign missions, but I am already decently far in terms of, you know, how many things I've cleared. You know, my light campaign is mostly done. I actually can't really do much more on this, and I'm stuck at waiting for chapter 6 to unlock at level 54. Now, I could go a bit further. I'll admit, chapter 5 hard mode is pretty tough for me right now where I sit, because I'm not high enough gear tier on some of my characters. My highest gear tier character is Ironhide, who is a shadow character anyways, but I did clear this Feely? Whoever it is. I cleared this node, and that's cool. But like, there's all this purple gear that I can't even use anyways, because, surprise, purple gear isn't in the game. Sorry, it is in the game. You can't use it. That's what I meant to say. So where's my Ironhide? And I think I showed this off in one of my previous videos. He's gear tier 8, and he can't go any higher. So what's the point of all of this gear that's in the game currently if I can't use it? So when is this happening? I would expect it to happen before Mines of Moria, I would think, because, like, what are the Krakens and whales doing? If you're a spender in this game, please let me know in the comments down below. Like, how are you keeping yourself motivated enough when there's that wall, I guess, of gear tier 8, and there's nothing else to improve your character with? There is the ability materials, I guess, but beyond that, like, what the heck is the point of all this purple gear that they're throwing at us if we can't even use it? So, for example, you'll find all this shit. And I guess this is for like above gear 8, because I've never seen them used. 5 pieces there, some purple stuff, which admittedly I've been buying, but I don't know why. Some of this stuff, more purple stuff that show up that I can't use. And in the arena store, they have this stuff, these pieces, which I'm not even clearly sure what exactly this stuff does, and it's still available to purchase, but I can't use it. In the challenge tier, they added them as well. And again, I don't know what value there are. The only thing that's unchanged right now is the guild store. And so maybe this is a little bit of complaining. But it's a weird position to be in. Like, I actually want to play more of this game, but I can't. And I feel that's really disappointing, and that's causing a lack of engagement. And that's where I kind of want to deviate towards, you know, the last part of this video is the engagement. So it's very hard for content creators and maybe even whales and krakens to engage properly with this game, because there is none outside of arenas. There really is no engagement. There's no engagement for our guilds, really. For us maintaining guilds. I have 4 guilds in my cluster, Boilon's army. People are quitting, people are getting disinterested in, people can't wait for Mines of Moria, which is slated for Q3 of this year, which could be as early as July. It could be later. And if it's any later than July, than early July, I think a lot of people are going to quit out of lack of interest. Now, I know that we have Elrond not too far away. We have Elrond probably for late June, early July as well. Most likely it's going to be before Mines of Moria, but I just don't know if people are going to be able to hold on. And that's my biggest concern, is that the first 3 months, I would say first 2 months, but first 3 months is absolutely the most critical time period for any game, whether it's a mobile game or otherwise. And if they're not able to maintain their player base, if people start quitting before, in that time period, that they just don't hang on, then that's a big problem for the longevity of the game, which I want this game to succeed. I want this game to do well, and I want to have fun playing it. And it's not that I don't have fun playing it, it's just there's nothing to do, right? And correct me if I'm wrong, please do. Let me know how you're finding something to do. And this is the most challenging part for me. And so my concern is that the people won't hold on. We have, I guess, probably Eladin coming in a week and a half. I don't know if they're 2 weeks apart for the character releases or not. It's just that there's a massive lack of anything else to do in the meantime. I think that we should have launched with raids. And just to give you guys perspective, Marvel Strike Force, from what I remember, because I did start a month after the global launch, it had a couple of game modes. It had Arena, which is very, very similar to this. We had a Blitz game mode, which is really bad, and I hope they don't implement in this game ever. It's basically using your entire roster to fight AI teams to get points for milestones. And actually, from that perspective, that part was fine, and it wasn't that bad in the beginning because there wasn't that many teams to rotate with. You would just basically do team battles with your however many characters you had unlocked, and you would fight AI battles, and that was fine because back then it was like every 8 hours, and it wasn't a big deal. Now it's like every 2 hours, and it's a shit fest. So please don't copy that. But then they also released with raids. They had lower level raids called Ultimus raids, and that allowed you to have a variety of different difficulties starting at, I think, level 20. And so they had Ultimus 1, 2, 3, and 4, I think. So 4 difficulty raids that were on launch. I believe someone will probably correct me down below on that one. But either way, there was raids in activity that you could do with your guild. This just doesn't have that, and I feel it needs that engagement, because for these types of games, a lot of the engagement that's really important to the longevity of these things is the community, right? The community aspect, especially within your own guilds and things like that, to keep you motivated to keep playing and to play more, and the competitive nature of that, and everything that comes with raids and other guild activity of that nature. None of that which we have. And so those are some of my largest concerns with this game. I'm going to continue to do content for this, but there's just nothing there for me to do. Like, I can't do everyday videos. For sure. I'll try to do a video every 2 or 3 days. There's just not enough content for me to cover without me bullshitting you for 10 minutes talking about something that really doesn't matter, really, at this point in time. Because what am I doing? I'm saving my resources for when else come out. I've done a good chunk of the rest of the content. I could do videos on how to help you guys do that, but realistically, you shouldn't have a much problem yourself as long as you're leveling up as well. A lot of these challenges actually aren't super difficult as long as you have the intended level and gear tier. I recently, for example, Treasure Trove, I've cleared at tier 6 because it's light based. Super easy as long as you have characters up to, level 45 plus. At the appropriate gear tier, which is like gear tier 6, and I was able to do this. And so that part's not very hard. It's just we need more content. There's a big content drought, and I'm cautious about how long people will actually be able to stay on, and whether or not they'll quit before things get good. That's my biggest concern. But that's just my concerns. Maybe it's not your concerns. So let me know in the comments down below what concerns you about Lord of the Rings. What are you waiting for? Are you waiting? Did you throw in the towel already? Tell me about all that and more. And until next time, stay safe and healthy, and I'll see you all later. Boilon signing out.